So I did my first year.
What was I doing
at
then?
UCT?
Grade 11. I was grade 11 in 10. Yeah,
So
I was.
young.
I know. I was a baby.
So young. Yeah, so I was doing I came from University of Cape Town.
Yeah.
Did electrical and computer engineering.
Oh.
Yeah. So yes, I am a smart ass.
Did you see it in my face?
I could see it in your face. I could see the question in your face. Oh, so yes.
You're one of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. Graduated 2014. And then I started working here in 2015.
Let's just take a moment for that. Not everyone graduates. So congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
You made it.
Yeah. So I started working in 2015. So now I'm in the software industry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm in tech. So yeah, that's what brought me to Cape Town, and that's what's kept me in Cape Town.
That's what's kept you
here.
here.
Yeah, because I am from Zim.
You are. And do you ever want to go back?
To live there?
Yeah, sure.
Ideally, yes.
Okay.
If things were going well, right? But I mean, right now the economy is dead, so it's not really much of an option.
Well,
unless you know people.
Actually, you know what? Unless you know people, true.
You can definitely make a lot of money and like make a living.
Can you? Like genuinely?
Yeah, if you know people. All you need is
Do you know people?
No, I don't. Unfortunately,
okay.
So all you need is like a contract where people will pay you.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, getting paid.
And just for like us people, so for me, right, like I don't really watch the news, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like even just the way that I care for my phone, the way that it looks like, I'm very like, I stay very detached from like social media and the news and stuff. So I don't actually really know a lot that's going on in Zimbabwe right now. So can you actually update me? Like what's popping? Because I know you have a new president. Right?
Yeah, we do.
That was a revolution. That was beautiful. That happened last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, at least I have my facts right. All right. So what's happened ever since then? Has there been hope? Has there been a change?
Not really, because the person who came in was his right-hand man, basically.
I thought so.
Yeah,
so okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it's actually gotten worse.
But didn't
if I'm being honest.
do like really? Didn't he do like a whole thing where he was like, oh, like I think he did a whole video where he was saying like, no, like my right hand man, like the votes, like he shouldn't have won. I saw a video something like that where he was kind of like going against.
Who was going against?
Guy.
Mugabe.
Mugabe was going against this guy. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, okay, so what happened actually during his presidency at the end, Mugabe's presidency, was his wife, Mugabe's wife, Grace, she wanted to take over. Yeah, yes, she wanted to
Grace
take over
was
as
in
president.
It's true. Grace
it was like Game of Thrones, man.
Yeah,
I swear.
Grace apparently went to Namibia to hide. That's what I read too. Grace?
Yeah, I mean, it was literally Game of Thrones. Like they could make a series out of what is happening in Zim. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because Grace, obviously Mugabe is old, very old, and Mugabe is and Grace is a lot younger.
So old, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was happening was she wanted to take over as president at the end.
Like she actually ran.
Mugabe's like 95 or something. So
he's really
his
at
clock
that
is
point.
about to,
His clock, yeah. But you know what?
She's in her
staying alive
50s.
That long.
She's in her 50s.
Oh, okay.
So she wanted to take over as president. So she was like, laying all the groundwork, but in a dirty way. You know what I mean? So she was like, so people were dying. The party itself actually broke apart.
Yeah.
It was a very unified party, and it broke apart. Yeah, they had a few factions there. Anyone who didn't get into her camp was cast away, or and there was an attempt at actually his life.
From her.
The president who's there right now. Because they were like tight, man. Like he was his right hand man in the war and stuff like that, right? So
then why did they try to take his life?
Because he was the next in line, like succession wise, like I thought, logically, right? But she wanted to be the one becoming president.
Okay.
So basically, anyway.
Interesting.
So they tried to kill him. right? It was, I think it was like a rally. So what they did was, so Mugabe has a company, a dairy company that does milk, ice creams, yogurt, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So basically, they have an ice cream that they serve all the time at rallies. Like when they have like a party, like event.
They try to poison.
So they put poison in his ice cream.
Damn.
They put poison. He ate it, and then he got really, really sick.
Yeah.
Like within the hour, got really sick. They took him on a private plane straight to South Africa.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't trust Zimbabwean hospitals at that point. Straight to South Africa. He got treated. He survived. And then it became apparent. They were like, yo, dude, you were poisoned. Like, what did you eat? And he's like, oh, I had an ice cream. They're like, okay, that ice cream must have been laced by something. He didn't come back.
Imagine, guys, just like, sorry, like, honestly though, imagine you being like important enough or like valuable enough to someone, which is so interesting because it really can be like anybody. It really can. The point that you can just like pick, like, who's to say that Glenn didn't lace this? Do you know what I mean? It's just really interesting how nowadays, like, you can't trust anyone.
Trust anyone. So yeah, so that's what happened. And then he stays in South Africa, basically like in exile in a way, because he feared for his life.
Of course.
Right. So now the problem is the person that they're trying to kill, which is the president now. He was very popular in the party. He's a very noble guy. Like
he was. I love the fact that you're using those words.
Right. And then so he's one of those guys, like everyone liked him. So it was one of those situations. And he was best friends with the army general. It's a very useful best friend.
Which is because I mean your army is like what?
Exactly. So he didn't like that they tried to kill him, the army general. So now they plan. They're like, okay, how do we? They like Grace is getting out of hand.
Yeah.
And it's quite unfortunate because everyone in the party liked Mugabe, right?
Yeah.
But his wife now, she was like taking over. She was like, now because she's the younger one. Yeah. Mugabe's old. He's like over it. He's tired. So she was now
ran
like
this
making
country
moves,
for too long.
making moves using his name.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they don't like it. They're like, Grace is getting out of hand. We need to, take care of this. So they basically, that's when the coup happened. Army general takes over the capital.
Oh yes.
Comes through, and then
yes.
Yeah, and then they do the news thing. They take over the news channel. They do the whole thing. Yo, we're taking over. This is not a coup. They insisted that it wasn't a coup.
Yes,
this is just
did.
an intervention.
Yes,
it's kind of like how they said it. And then
interesting choice of words.
And then they did that, and then
did people believe it? By the way,
I mean, we knew it was. I mean, thing is, like everything was clear, like what is happening,
right? I also think it was so clear.
Yeah, it was pretty clear. They just it's because of the respect they had for Mugabe, right? It was just the respect thing. Like they don't want to, do that to him, but they're like, "Grey, your wife,
where would you say
they're like, control your hoe, basically. You know what I mean?
Basically, like, bitch,
like, bro,
she getting out of control.
Yeah, like control.
you need to tighten the reins on that.
Control, yeah.
Literally,
that's basically what happened, and then the rest is history, basically.
And where would you say the respect comes from?
These guys go way back, and he really. I mean, he obviously screwed a lot of us over, right? But I think he for the majority of his reign. He was definitely a top-class president for the country.
Okay, not a lot of people say that. So why do you say
he was,
that?
yeah. And obviously, we remember like the second half of his presidency, which a lot of things weren't going right. Yes, and the problem is, a lot of the people under him were very corrupt. Yeah, they didn't have the country at heart and all that. So. A lot of corruption, which
it's
screwed
really
us over.
interesting. Yeah, actually.
But I mean, I won't let him off the hook too.
Yeah,
he was also corrupt.
No, but like I really like the fact that you mentioned that. To be honest, because I think that a lot of us tend to forget that just because that person is like the face, do you know what I mean? Like just because that person is the president doesn't mean that person is the one who's actually calling the shots. Like. Sometimes you step into situations where it's just literally so bad that there's nothing that you can do but try to keep it at like a level. You know what I mean? Like, that's one thing that I really learned about, like, Barack Obama and even my own president of my own country, to be honest. Is like,
Who's your president right now?
His name is Hage Gengop.
So when did Nyoma leave? Was that a while ago?
Yo, Nyoma left like, I don't know, but I still feel like I was probably like 10. I don't even know.
I have no idea who the president of Namibia is.
Yeah.
He's the only president I know.
Yeah, a lot of people.
How many presidents have you had after him?
Yeah, we've had 2 so far. So it was him, and then it was a guy called Hifike Punye Fahamba. I'm trying to get this right because I feel like I don't know a lot about my country. I haven't been there for a while. But Hifike Punye Fahamba, and then after Hifike Punye Fahamba was Hage Gengop. And like our economy, unfortunately, started like deteriorating and like I guess you could say going in a bad direction even before Hage Gengop got there, because now it's bad. Now we're like in recession, unemployment has increased, you know, like people are getting, you know, what's the word? Sorry, when you let go?
What, retrenched?
Yes, people are being retrenched, you know. Even the reason, like, I'm a graduate. I graduated last year here in Cape Town, so technically I'm supposed to be at home. I was studying hospitality management, actually.
Where?
I'm a little chef and like other things like that. Yeah, I studied at Cape Town Hotel.
And you want me to cook for you?
Yes, I want linguine and what's the other one? I keep banging on the table. I'm sorry, linguine and you say linguine and chicken. Yeah. Guys. So
with the balsamic reduction,
guys. So he described to me
my go-to
this
dish.
really wonderfully delicious go-to dish with brown sugar and balsamic vinegar and like spices, and like he described the method and like all of that stuff, and it sounded so good. I was getting hungry and I was just looking. I was like,
Where did you do your?
I didn't need to do this.
I
did it at the Cape Town Hotel School in Granger Bay. Shout out, because y'all real MVPs. Like they really teach you like
really
the shit.
When was that?
This was like I did this from 2015 until 2018.
That's 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years now actually. Wait, but let's not talk about me. Let's go back. Yeah. Sorry, we're not doing this.
I almost segued nicely there.
Yeah.
It was close.
So this is not just a random question, because this is something that I noticed that you said earlier on. So you mentioned the fact that you're single, right? But you're also 27, right? And normally what I believe men like you at your age start to look, you know?
For like what, the final?
For the final one, they start to settle down, or what they always say, like your whole phase of like hoeing is done and exploring, and now like you know what you want. Do you feel like you're there?
Nah. Oh man, no.
Is that why you're still single? Because you have.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because I have what?
Wait, I wanted to say the word, but I was like, I can't say that it has commitment issues. I don't know. I don't know you and like exactly. Yeah, so I didn't want to say that. Yeah.
No, I don't have commitment issues as such. But I mean, the thing is, I'm just not in a rush, to be honest. Like, if it does come through now, then cool.
Would you want to get married?
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you believe in love.
So. Yeah, and also like, you know, I don't want to be lonely when I'm 50.
You don't want to be lonely.
Yeah.
When you're
right 50. Now it's easy not to be lonely because everyone's not married.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like once you hit that like 40, 45 age group, now a lot of people have their own thing going on. Right? So like now you're like with like 20-year-olds, you don't want to be doing that at 45. That's the reason why 45-year-olds go for like really young girls, because they're the ones available, really. You know what I mean? If you think about it.
True.
They don't. It's not like they're not saying. They're saying like, I don't want a 35-year-old woman.
Yeah.
It's just that they're not there.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them that are single.
True.
So.
But I think they are though. They're just hiding. Do you know what I mean? Because
a lot.
I think I
think there's less of them than.
I actually think now they're increasing because of divorce and like all of those things, to be honest. But like I think that they're just not comfortable enough to go out there and be like, you know, because it's a very uncomfortable age too. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you have kids? Do you not have kids? And like, you know, are you divorced? Are you not divorced? You know what I mean? Like, there's so much happening at that age for a woman. I feel that like you wouldn't necessarily be like, okay, I'm gonna find a man, and you're just kind of gonna stay in your bed and be lonely until like you're forced to find someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until like your sexual like hormones are like, okay, girl, it's
You need to do
time.
something.
You need to do something.
And do you want to get married?
Marriage. That is a very interesting.
Sounds like a no.
It's not like, you know what's crazy? Like, I grew up on fairy tales and like Disneyland and like all of those things, and like, you know, you having like a man and, you know, all of those things. But like, I don't know, man. The older that I grew, the more that I really started to question what exactly the meaning of marriage is. And like, even to the point of its origin. Do you know what I mean? Like, what did it mean when people got married even back then? Because right now, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I do not want to be in a marriage full of like, you know, canceled culture where it's like, okay, if I do something bad or whatever, or if something happens, or if you see a different side of me that you didn't see when you fell in love with me, or if I change now in our relationship that we're married, but you still expect me to be the same person that I fell in love with. Like, it's a lot of things that I think right now a lot of people psychologically don't understand about what it really means to love someone unconditionally, especially. So I think it's hard for me to enter a union where it's like legal. Do you know what I mean? And like that deep, knowing that a lot of the people who are doing that nowadays don't understand it. And then I guess, I mean, that's my own choice. I need to pick someone who does understand like what that means.
So ideally, what kind of thing do you want then? Just like a relationship with no...
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I know this might be trendy for some people nowadays because, you know, Jada's Pickett Smith, shout out to the Red Table Talk. But they were speaking about it. I don't know. I think I'm just more into like life partnerships. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know. I think marriage brings a lot of responsibility and like expectation. And expectation is so dangerous in a relationship. Guys, I'm really starting to realize that. Like, let's just take a moment. Let's just honestly take a moment and just educate people for a while, because I really think this can help like a lot of people. When you are in a relationship, right? And like you start to fall in love with this person, and this person starts to do really great things for you. They start bringing you flowers and like all of that stuff, right? And when they start bringing you flowers and being romantic and making you feel loved, it triggers something inside of you, right? It triggers an emotion, and then your body releases hormones of happiness, right? And you feel like, I'm on top of the world. This is amazing. This is so wonderful. So in a way, your mind is kind of tricking you that what this person is doing for you is causing or creating your happiness, right? And then you kind of start leaning on that. You start leaning on that thing of like, okay, if this person does this for me, I'm going to be happy, but not if I do this for myself, I'm going to be happy. Does that make sense? And then like, that's where like, I think relationships often fall apart is when you start to put that expectation on other people of like, okay, but you're supposed to make me feel this way, or you're supposed to make me feel loved, or you're supposed to make me feel happy, or you're supposed to make me feel safe, when really you're supposed to make yourself feel all of those things. But that person is only supposed to improve your qualities, or do you know what I mean? Like, I realized with me, and I think that unfortunately this is why like my relationships has failed, is because I always put that expectation of like, okay, you're supposed to make me feel this way. And like, if I didn't feel happy, I wouldn't be looking at myself first. I would be looking at, okay, what's wrong in this relationship? And then after I look at what's wrong in this relationship, it's like, what are you doing wrong? It's not what am I doing wrong. It's like, okay, but why am I not feeling happy? It's because he's not talking to me this much, or he's not doing this, or he's not da 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 da. And ideally, the reason why this person is also not doing that for you is because this person's probably also not satisfied and within their own pain and their own turmoil, and, you know, sabotaging their relationship. It goes into a lot of things. It's a lot of things. But yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is, for all of the people out there, remove expectation from a relationship, because no other human being is supposed to make you happy but yourself. Literally. Like, It's the key. It's the secret. It's the thing. It's your happiness that you create for yourself, that you put into your relationship, that will make your relationship healthy, but not you expecting that person to do all of the things that will make you happy. And not even just that, but a lot of people also expect your significant other to heal their pain. That's a big thing. Like, people always expect you, like, so say for example, if I have daddy issues, which is the biggest one, because we all have daddy issues, because niggas out here just be leaving us, but it's cool. It's fine. I need to stop banging myself on the table. But yeah, just for example, like someone who has daddy issues, you know what I mean? So like, now I'm going to start looking at the qualities that you have. And obviously men have similar qualities. So I'm going to be triggered by certain things that reminds me of my dad. And then I'm going to be either more harsh towards you, or I'm going to be angry, or do you know what I mean? But I'm not going to understand that firstly, you are your own person. Those are your own characteristics, and everything that you're doing. Also, this is like, not to go deep, but everything that everyone is ever doing to you is not being done to you. They're just doing it to themselves, because we're all a mirror. Like, we're all a reflection of ourselves. We're all the same, but we're all vibrating on a different frequency. So we're all just put in different environments, and we, because of our circumstances, grew into different people, but fundamentally we are all the same. Fundamentally, we all want the same things. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure we're aware of like self-actualization and like all that stuff, but sorry, not to that. I know I'm really crying.
But what's self-actualization?
Oh, should I say for people who don't know? Okay, so self-actualization is kind of like what Maslow, which is a theory of happiness, I guess you could say, if I had to say it in like full, you know, if I had to put it into like a package. But basically what Maslow was speaking about is how every human being has basic needs, right? So we start off with, for example, like food and security and like sex, and then we move on to like healthy relationships, and then we move on to like a healthy environment, and then self-actualization is like when all of those things come together as one. So that's when you're not only balanced with yourself, but you're balanced with your community, you're balanced with nature, you're balanced with, you know, the people in like your life, and like, and you're balanced with yourself, self-love, you know what I mean? Which is what I was talking about, and how important that is in a relationship, and knowing that you're the one who's supposed to be fueling your own love and not the other person. And that's really where self-actualization is. But yeah, so the concept of self-actualization is when you reach a point where you understand, or this is at least my understanding of what it is, when you reach a point where you understand that everything that is happening to you is really beyond you, and as a human being you don't really know anything, and you're comfortable not knowing anything, but you're also comfortable with the fact that you have mastered all of the areas in your life where you don't feel like you are at a disadvantage in any way. Does that make sense? So even when you are at a disadvantage, you're not at a disadvantage, because everything that's happening to you is happening for you. Does that make sense? Okay. That's just my idea. That's my belief or my understanding of what self-actualization is. But the dangerous thing, I think, though, about self-actualization is a lot of people try to reach it as though it's a destination. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of people don't realize that self-actualization is ongoing. It's unlimited. Do you know what I mean? Even when you reach that point, you're always going to be in limbo, because there's always going to be something that life is going to be like, yo, let me just... And then you're going to be at the bottom, where you're going to be like at basic needs, or you're going to have to, again, rebuild your relationships, or work on your environment, or, you know, rebuild your relationship with nature, which I think is so interesting about life if you really think about it, right? Because it's like, even when you reach the point where you're like, okay, this is ultimate happiness, it's like, no, I'm really going to show you there's even something beyond that, you know what I mean? Which is really magical, actually. I don't know how we got to this way.
So have you reached that point like yourself? What do you think?
That's a very good question.
Or not yet?
I would say that I've reached that point, but I've reached that point in a way that I didn't understand. So I didn't embrace it the way that I should have, and because of that I think that I didn't reach where I should have reached. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think that like I was reaching towards self-actualization and I was doing all of the things that I needed to do to get there, but I think that there was something that I was forgetting, which was that I really needed to do self-introspection, but on a way that's not normal, like not surface level, it's like where you're really looking at like those skeletons that really like tell you why you are the person that you are, why you do the things that you do. Do you know what I mean? Like when you really dig deep into your childhood, guys, let me tell you about your childhood. It teaches you a lot about who you are. Like the way that you were raised and where you've come from and any traumatic experiences that you've had. As much as you think that that thing does not affect you, let me tell you right now, guys. Actually, let me just encourage everyone to go to therapy. Honestly, therapy really helps.
Have you been to therapy?
I have. I am such an advocate for it. I really am. Like I went when I was 15, but that was because of emotional exhaustion. And it was because of like my parents' divorce and stuff like that. So at
your
that
parents
time,
divorced. How old were you when that happened?
My parents started separating when I was like 13, but they only officially got divorced when I was like 19, I think. So it was a very long, like, not nice process. It
Did you
wasn't
understand
just
why
like,
it happened?
Yeah, fully. Like, yeah, I think even at that time when I was like at that age, I think I understood why it was happening, and I also understood that like, okay, it's very obvious that these two people should not be together. But I think that it's interesting how how divorce can really change people, and how like you as a child forget that your parent is a human being. So you forget that what they're going through, and like the fact that that's like their toughest thing. And because if they're like not giving you enough love, or they're not giving you enough attention, you take it personally. You're like, oh, but you're not da 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 da. And I think that at that age, I understood that my parents were in really bad places, so they weren't capable of giving me the love that I needed. Does that make sense? So I think it made it a little bit easier for me. Like, I'm not saying that like I wasn't hella depressed and like super sad, like, you know, my family broke up. But I think that it really helped me understand that, like, okay.
Do you have siblings?
I do, 5.
Oh, damn.
I know, you wouldn't think, right? A lot of people say that. I have 5 siblings. Yeah, I have 3 sisters and I have 2 brothers.
From the same mother and...
No, so I only have...
From your mother and father, how many?
Okay, so from my mother, I have 1 brother. He's like my oldest brother. And then from my dad's side, I have then 4 siblings, which is my 2 sisters and my 3 sisters and my 1 brother.
So you mean between the 2 is just you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Between the 2, it's just me. Yeah. Shout out to all my siblings. But yeah, I have 5. We're quite a big family. Really big family.
So were you like team dad or team mom, or is it not like that?
You know what the interesting thing about that is, like, I never really understood like the concept of picking sides. I never really felt like I needed to do that, because I felt like the way that I thought about it was, I love you both equally, so why should I choose where I go, if wherever I go you should just take care of me best to your ability? I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense? So like everyone in my family was picking sides, obviously, because that's how people are nowadays. And I was the only one actually out of all of my siblings who didn't pick a side, which made things 1,000 times harder for me, because that meant that like I was obviously vulnerable and like.
But you were also the only one who's like, you were like, for the 2 of them, you're the only child, right? So
No, sorry, no. Actually, from my mom's side, I have an older brother. So
from your mom and dad.
Yeah, mom and dad. So my older brother but he chose my mom's side. Yeah. And for me, the way that like my situation happened, right, I didn't choose, but my dad financially was more was financially more stable than my mom was, right? So the way that I thought about it was like, okay, if I'm thinking about my future, right, who is the best person that is going to be able to contribute to that, which was my dad, you know what I mean? And at that time, like, I really knew. But not only just that, I think also, and this is something that I never really admit to myself, but I think also, like, I didn't really want to go to my mom because I didn't want to be a burden to her, because I knew how much she needed, like, what she needed to do in order to get to where she needed to be. And I knew that I would be like a
hindrance.
Yes, I knew that I would be a hindrance, right? So in my mind, I was like, okay.
So you thought about it logically.
I really did, okay. Yo. Like, at that time, I was trying to think of the best outcome for everybody, me included. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because I didn't want to hurt anyone. And, like, I felt like everyone was just hurting each other. People were like, because the thing with divorce, if it's a big family and it's like siblings are involved and, like, it's not really like a very loving situation, a lot of people are saying a lot of things, because obviously, especially if you're neutral, they want you to pick a side, you know? So they say lies, they tell you things, they forbid you not to go see this person, or, in Black culture, witchcraft, like, it goes deep, you know what I mean? Like, it really goes deep. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not gonna lie to you, it was really difficult for me to, like, stay in that neutral ground, because you really realize that, like, at some point both of them are using you, and then you're just kind of like, okay, cool, if both of them are using me, like, where do I belong if even my siblings have chosen? I don't know. Does that make sense? So you kind of just feel like you're walking the road by yourself. You're just being like this happy, positive, I'm just going to be the only person in this whole entire family who's going to promote, like, kindness and let's just forgive and, like, all of that stuff. So yeah, and then that's what caused a little bit of, I think, my severe depression, but I didn't know at the time, because I am this kind of person, like, I'm really good at, like, being, like, happy and, like, positive and stuff. And that can obviously be a bad thing, because that means that you can also be really good at lying to yourself. Do you know what I mean? And also in terms of, like, identity, because it means also, like, are you always in a state of survival, or are you in a state of, like, Hileni? You know, it's a lot of things. Yeah. So that's where my emotional exhaustion came. And then, like, one day I fainted and I was in the hospital for like 7 days, but they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And then the doctor was just like, nah, I think it's mental, I think something is going up there. And then that's when I went to go see a therapist. And at the beginning, my experience wasn't, I would say, I wasn't open to it, but it's only because of obviously where I was mentally at that time. Like, I felt like, oh, someone's gonna listen to my problems, and, like, what are they gonna know, and how are they gonna do that? But it actually kind of works, guys. Like, really, like, she would ask me questions where she would ask me to maybe draw a picture of my family on, like, our happiest days or something like that, or even just draw a picture of my family, and then she would, like, pinpoint where I would position certain people, and then she would ask you, like, why did you put that person there? Why did you put that person there? And then you actually, like, go deep into that. It's really interesting, guys. Therapy.
And you're a kid at this point.
Yeah, I think I was 14 at this point. Yeah. And then last year, like, my life just got way too hectic. I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I feel like 2018 was like a year where it's like you had your best experiences, but you also had your worst experiences. Was it just me who felt that way?
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's other people. Yeah.
No, really,
but not
like,
me.
It was like I was either in an extreme high or an extreme low, and it just got to a point where, like, I started to feel numb, to be quite honest with you, and I started to really disconnect and detach from, like, human beings, and I didn't really know how to talk to people anymore, and it was weird because it was kind of coming from, like, nowhere. But my history is very long, though. Like, I've had a lot of traumatic experiences that I think I haven't really dealt with properly, especially just in terms of, like, losing friends and all that kind of stuff. So last year was really the year for me where, like, my body was like, okay, you're not gonna deal with this. We're gonna show you what mental, like struggle is and all that stuff. And that's when I really started to like develop anxiety and all those things. And for someone like me, again, an extrovert, someone who's outgoing, loves talking to people, it's weird not being able to have a conversation with someone or not being able to talk and connect. Like, it's uncomfortable. It feels unnatural almost, to be honest, which was killing me on the inside. So I decided, I was like, nope, I can't do this. And I went to go see a therapist, cried my eyes out, spoke about all my problems, like went deep into my skeletons. And yeah, finally started to figure my shit out. And now I'm here in a better space.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, mentally. And that's great, and even it's really interesting because like I'm even in a better place now in terms of like my family and all of those things. Not saying that like those relationships are fixed, just saying that mentally for me now, I'm in a better place of me not thinking that like, again, all of that happened to me, but it happened for me. You know what I mean? And also realizing that not everyone is meant to be like a good parent. Do you know what I mean? Like, we all think that just because our parents are our parents, that they're meant to be good parents. But sometimes you, unfortunately, are kind of like...
You just suck at it.
Yeah, and you as a child, I don't want to say that you're the casualty of their life, but sometimes it's literally, you just got to think of it as your parent is on a road, right? And unfortunately, they just kind of dropped you off, like it was just like a little speed bump and they needed to continue. But that's fine because that's their journey. Do you know what I mean? And yours can just begin wherever it is and you can just continue. But it doesn't mean that like your parent was supposed to be the most excellent one. And it's okay if you didn't have one, because that doesn't mean that like your life is over or that you weren't loved or any of this stuff. Because truthfully, guys, everything that we're searching for is within us. It really honestly is. And it's really sad because like right now we're in a really lonely generation, you know what I mean, where people don't know how to do this anymore. Like, guys, this is so rare, like where two people meet for the very first time and they're strangers and they actually like get along, and it's to a point where you feel comfortable enough to just talk openly and vulnerably about your normally people are like, oh, I don't really want to, or like, oh, that's weird, kind of thing.
Yeah, you just hold back.
Yeah, exactly. You really hold back. And like nowadays I'm really realizing how lonely of a generation we are and how we've really forgotten, guys, to connect with each other, and not only just on a normal sexual level that we do now, but on a deep level that's like, okay, let's really talk about like what's paining you. Like, do you wake up every day feeling happy? If not, why not? If what can I do as a fellow human being to help you be happier or be more joyful or love yourself? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that's all we should be doing,
that's all we
guys.
Should be doing,
like,
man. Love yourself.
Literally, you need
J.
to
Cole
love. Yeah, J. Exactly, guys. Like that's really all we should be doing, because that's the magic. Like once you start loving yourself, dude, there's so much magic magic and love that's exuding from you that you just spread it everywhere. Yeah. For example, J. Cole, he started loving himself. He decided to go back home. 2014 Forest Hills Chime, you know what I mean? And he was like, I need to go back to my roots. And the classic and he wrote classic, dude. He wrote that shit, and how many people did he impact with that?
Quite a lot.
Exactly.
On that note, thanks so much.
I know. I felt like that was a good end.
That was top class. Yeah, top class. As you know, this episode is brought to you by brothersbeard.africa. Just check the website out for all your beard. What did you say?
Sets and kits. I always say that. I feel like 'cause I know.
For your Brothers Beard sets and kits, you can hook yourself up from their website. Yeah. If you do end up buying something, just let them know you heard of them from Amateur Opinions. And Duke, they have the Brothers Beard kit, Brothers Beard set.
They have the oil.
The oil.
Which is what he recommends highly.
I recommend the set, which comes with the oil and the balm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's getting in the ladies, guys, literally.
Yeah. It works, apparently. So, just check out the website and, just support the podcast. Appreciate it.
Yeah, guys.
This has been Amateur Opinions. Appreciate Hileni coming through. Check it out on Instagram. It's at GhettoDoveX.
And I finally got it right.
Yeah, and on YouTube, your YouTube channel. What's it called?
Yes. Oh, Hileni. So that's Hileni, and then my surname, which is.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Kadupamba. I don't know. What's your surname?
So that's Kathindi, which is Kathindi.
Kathindi, my bad.
Kathindi. Yeah, that's Hileni.
So yeah, Hileni Kathindi on YouTube and GhettoDoveX on Instagram. So check her out.
Don't worry, guys. I'm gonna start following. I mean, like being active
on social media.
I just grew a little bit of social anxiety, and I was afraid of the world and trolls. But I'm trying really hard to come back by starting with this podcast. Yeah,
fair enough.
I really
That's
am.
a good way.
It's a scary world, but you guys are okay, I guess.
So yeah, check us out next week. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah,
have a beautiful day.
Have a good week.
And Musa.
This is Amateur Opinions. Peace.